Wherever you are in the universe, welcome to another episode on healing in ways you never thought possible with myself, host Dr. Dolores Fazzino. As I promised, we're going to start interviewing stories from other practitioners and people in my life, but also people from different walks of life that have had those miraculous healings. So, as the second part of our miraculous miracles, I'm here to introduce our next special guest. Her name is Janet Doerr, and she is, let me just pull up her lovely stuff. She is an intuitive, but also has an amazing story to share with the audience about how we could heal in ways you never thought possible. And I'm going to let her share her story and also introduce herself even further. So, without further ado, I'm just going to welcome my next guest. Hey, Janet, how are you?
Hi, Dolores. It's such a pleasure and an honor to have this invitation and chance to share with your listeners.
Well, I'm just so excited to have you here. So, just tell us about how you got on your healing journey and what was your healing moment.
Well, I was in a fairly traditional career path in a corporate life in high tech companies with big management jobs, financial leadership jobs. And my hips got my attention at about age 50, 51. My hips started hurting like crazy. And this then made the gardening and the walking and other things that I treasured for physical activity impossible without great pain. So I got x-rays, found out I had bone on bone, shredded cartilage in both hips, and at the very young age of 52, and decided by age 54 to get one of them replaced because the pain was just unbearable, even though I'd been doing the standard over-the-counter things, Aleve for pain relief, which certainly helped, but later I learned was trashing my liver. So our bodies are always lovingly just trying to get our attention. And I didn't realize that. I was treating it in the fairly traditional way with my healthcare practitioner saying, well, what you do is you get that hip removed and replaced with a surgical prosthesis. So I did that. And I found the experience, although I'm quite grateful that I really had perfect surgery, no infection, anything. My legs ended up exactly the same length. It was beautiful. However, I had extraordinary pain, which the surgeon could not understand. And later I discovered that I was unpacking pain energies that were from previous lifetimes when I had that leg amputated. Go figure. So, but that was later that I got that insight. So here I was at 54, things changed at work. My big job became feeling less fulfilling. And I really got that direction from my soul that it was time to do something different. And so I left corporate life. And then I said, well, if I'm going to have a second hip replacement, perhaps I should do some things to get healthier first so that it would go more easily. And as I focused on improving my health, losing a little weight, cleaning up my diet, being able to be home, eating organic food, etc., that was really helping. And then I remembered that I could heal myself. And I went, well, wait a minute. Maybe this path of getting a second hip replacement is not the path for me. So then I started asking, well, what would it take for the pain to go away? And I got guided thing by thing by thing. And one of the first things that I was guided to was to remove all the wheat out of my diet. I literally asked the question, how could I heal this naturally? And then was told, take my dog for a walk at the dog park. And when I got there, no one was there. And by this time, I'm having conversations with my guides. And I I said, but there's nobody here. Why am I here? And they said, just keep walking. So I walked and walked, and finally a woman came with her dog, but she was really busy on her cell phone, and we kept passing in the walking path in opposite directions, but we're not making eye contact because she was on the phone with someone. Finally, she got off the phone and we started a conversation. And then I learned that who I had attracted to the dog park was a nurse on the Oregon Pain Board. And when I spoke to her, she had just written a book, and she said, well, did you know that wheat is inflammatory and a great contributor to arthritic conditions and pain? And I said, no, I didn't know that. So I stopped eating wheat immediately, and the pain subsided by probably 80% within a week. So that was the start of it. But then I also said, but I wish to heal this entirely naturally. And so I did, and I found so I still needed some pain support while I was healing. And so I learned about turmeric and boswellic acid, which is frankincense, and other natural things. And then I started unpacking the emotional energy, which was, as I discovered, the hips are root chakra land. For those who have some awareness of the chakra system and the energies, our hips is where we store, I'm safe, I'm supported, I'm secure. And I did not feel supported. I felt unsupported in corporate life in a largely male oriented, dominated environment. And so that had contributed. So as I went, what would it feel like to feel supported? And then I found myself being in the energy of support and offering other people more support. And long story short, after several years, I'm completely healed. I can jump on both legs, do jumping jacks, do tree pose, yoga, walk for 3 hours on cement floors. I'm golden. I did not require a second surgical intervention.
Gosh, Janet, that's an amazing story. And I just love how you're sharing with, the whole contrast of what you'd done before and, what you were doing so you could avoid not having to have any type of surgery at all and using alternative things. I thank you for sharing that. And the thing is, what we need to remember too is like our bodies are fully capable of healing themselves. I feel that we've been programmed to thinking and believing that that's not possible.
Absolutely true. And as I said, oh, wait a minute, because I really got this remembrance. Wait a minute, I can heal myself. And then I realized, okay, well, I'm overweight. I was up to, at that time, about when I left corporate, about 160 pounds. I'm now under 140. And my memory had gone not too good. I was having trouble recalling words and so forth, although I've always been quite good with numbers, but words and names were, I'd go to speak a sentence and the word I wanted to use was not there. The neural pathway was not working. And so I've healed all of that and got I discovered that my 10 years of dutiful taking flu shots and ultimately ingesting all that aluminum ending up in my brain had not helped my memory one iota. So I stopped all the vaccines and started taking turmeric every day, which started chelating the aluminum out of my brain. So my memory is now crystal clear once again. And other things, the hair started growing back in a browner color instead of the gray it had become that I was having to color with very toxic hair colors. So just thing after thing after thing as I cleaned my body and cleansed. And then also my intuitive guidance got stronger. I could go into the kitchen and say, body, 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 what would you like me to eat? And I would see the foods or hear a picture, see a picture or hear a name of a food. And so I listened to my body and things just got better and better. And now I'm, sharp once again, sharp as a tack memory, clear skin, a lot more light coming through me, and my ability to connect with the higher realms is awesome. I can easily hear angels and my guides speaking to me. And the more questions I ask, then the more help I receive.
Yeah, isn't that the interesting part? It's like how often we forget to ask. It's just like we think we're the Lone Ranger, or we forget that there's all this abundant help available to us, not only in the physical, but in the invisible realms as well. We just forget to ask. And, because we're here of, um, you know, divine will, but also we're here on earth to have choices, and yet nothing can interfere with us unless we allow it in. What we forget is to ask for the help.
Right.
So it's just a great reminder that the help is there, and just we might have to come within to ask for that, or
Yeah.
just even ask out loud, but it's there for us.
Yeah, so I learned this great phrase 10 years ago, and I started saying, what would it take for my memory to improve? What would it take for my hips to be strong and for me to be flexible and be able to run up a flight of stairs and not be winded and have nothing hurt? What would it take for this? What would it take for that? And that is a fabulous phrase to use for receiving assistance. And it gets us out of having to figure out how to create something, but rather to just choose. So when we choose, this is what I would like to experience, a brilliant memory that works perfectly for me. And I'm always able to retrieve numbers, addresses, phone numbers, names, words that I want. So we get to pick our chosen experience and then just say, what would it take for that to show up? And then we have to pay attention because we have asked for help. We have claimed what we'd like to experience. And then we have to pay attention to who shows up. And we may get direct guidance and information coming from the higher realms. But often, when people are just starting on this journey, they don't believe they can hear, or they're not clearly receiving the messages. So then we look for earth angels. So I remember in my journey, I kept hearing, eat kale, eat kale, eat kale, right? It's a brilliantly healthy food, cleansing, and good for anything that ails us. But I didn't know how to cook it or how to enjoy it. So I said to the universe, well, I would eat kale if I had some idea of how to prepare it, cook it, that would be delicious, that I would enjoy. And so then what happens is I'm at the grocery store, two ladies just 4 feet away from me start a conversation about kale, saying, one says to the other, well, I love to cook it this way. And the other says to the first one, oh, that's good. Yes, but I really love this. And I realized that those two women, beautiful divine beings of light, and I had all been guided to that section of the produce section at the same moment, on the same day, in the same grocery store, so that, and then they would have this inspired, joyful conversation about how they love to cook and prepare kale in my presence. It was all for me. It was,
Absolutely.
it was all, it was
What a
all
great
for me.
what a great story. I just love how the universe, when you set an intention or you ask for help, how it wants to help you, and it sets it up in ways that you could have never imagined it would set itself up. And I love in your story the way you shared about going to the dog park and just trusting that little hint that you got. Even though you were questioning it, you still continue to go, because you just never know what the universe has in store. The universe has way more possibilities than we can even imagine, and how to manifest something. We just sometimes have to step out of our own way in order for us to receive the blessings that it wants to bestow upon us.
Yes, it's so true. So, and so well said. And in the whole process of healing, we have to remember, and this is part of the work I now do as a medical intuitive like you with your clients, is that healing ourselves is not simply about what does the physical body need and what does it no longer require. That's important, clean our bodies up, give it more of the nutrients, get the garbage and the pesticides and the stuff that we've ingested through our lives. But we start to learn that the underlying cause, root cause of a health experience, why our body's getting our attention, is way deeper than simply adjust this, tweak that in the physical body. And so over time, I discovered and learned about the energy systems, our etheric body, where we store memories of all of our experiences from all timelines, all incarnations across time and space, and our emotional body, where we may have suppressed some emotion and we haven't felt it through to completion, and it's still there as a memory and waiting for us to unpack it, feel it, and release it. And then our thought, our physical body, our mental body, and its beliefs and conclusions. So I had to let go of all of the beliefs and conclusions that had been imprinted upon me about, for example, if your memory gets worse in life, there's no way for it to get better again. Or if your eyesight deteriorates, then that's just an aging thing. And then you get glasses and maybe surgery, and this is what we do. So I let go of all those beliefs that had to do with this is the natural order of things, replaced it with the truth and the more of our magical nature, which you said before, we can heal anything. And that cleared out some things. But then I really had to dive deep into the emotional content. I had grief in my lungs from many lifetimes of losing loved ones, for example, and that manifested in a variety of lung illnesses. And then in the hips, as I described, I had a lot of energy of not feeling supported. So then I had to say, oh, well, what would it feel like if I felt brilliantly supported? And even just this weekend, my flight from here to a fair where I was speaking got delayed and delayed and delayed. And so I had to ask for a lot of help. And so many people helped me. And then my luggage was lost. And so then the luggage had to be found. And, the number of people that helped me that I needed to ask for help and receive help in a 24-hour period was far more than my daily quota of asking and receiving help.
Or was it though? Or was it?
Everybody helped. And, I got a toothbrush when my luggage was lost and all kinds of things. And people helped me at the fair when all of my table covers and my sign hadn't appeared and the fair was starting. All kinds of things happened. And as I just kept saying, well, this is uncomfortable, but I'm practicing receiving help. Thank you so much for assisting me this way and that way and this way, all of this. Well, then the next day, and I've been so grateful about all that, the next day at my booth, 5 people gave me a monetary tip for my assistance with helping them unpack the root cause of their health issue. So because I practiced receiving and had said over and over, I'm so grateful, and how many people are helping me, then the universe started saying, well, there's some other ways you can receive as well. And so then I was receiving a lot of extra money on Saturday at the fair. So you just never know what you're going to get once you get better at asking for help and receiving.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Great share with the demonstration of that. And, sometimes we forget and or we think if we do X, it's got to look like Y. And that's not true because that's what's so delightful about just being open to receiving without expectation. And so, Janet, as we're starting to wrap up here, I just want to tell our audience here about you and your services and what you offer. Could you please share a little bit about that?
Yeah, you bet. Now I am a medical intuitive and master energy healer. So I help my clients track the root cause of energy that, as I said, might be anywhere in their energy field, in the physical body, in the emotional body, in a belief, in a past life experience. Track it to the root cause, work with the higher realms and light tools, things that I have to clear that energy, reset, so that the person can then make a new choice about healing themselves more quickly and then be on a path to experience the improved health like I did and many of my clients are enjoying. So I offer one-to-one services remotely. I've served people in 43 countries of the world. And I also teach quite a number of classes and have those classes recorded. So more and more of that am I making available.
And her links are, on the streaming that's going through this podcast. So you could reach out to her at janetdoerr.com. And she also has a link here. It's a bit.ly link, and it's https://bit.ly transform-your-energy. So Janet, thank you so much for being part of another miraculous healing session and a share on healing in ways you never thought possible. And once again, I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, your host. And you could reach me at drdoloresfazzino.com, and you could get your free meditation. And also, if you like what you heard here, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and it's at Dr. Fazzino. So signing off, and once again, thank you, Janet, for sharing. And we look forward to our next event. Bye-bye.